Welcome in. Investigators say the 16-year-old boy who shot and injured two classmates Wednesday at Evergreen High had been radicalized by an extremist network. We still don't know the exact motive for the shooter's attack, but he was involved in extensive online communities dedicated to extreme acts of violence. Months before the suspect shot two of his classmates with a revolver, he, quote, developed a deep fascination with mass shooters. This is according to an analysis by the Anti-Defamation League. The ADL says the shooter was active on violent gore sites, also frequented by other known school shooters. And his online history also makes references to the two teenagers who murdered 13 people and injured 20 others at Columbine High School. We also know the shooter posted pictures of a revolver in the days and hours before that shooting at Evergreen High, the same kind of weapon he eventually used to injure his classmates and take his own life. The two students who were injured are still in the hospital tonight. One of them's in serious condition, the other critical. We still don't know whether those students were targeted or where the shooter even got that revolver he used. As first responders rushed to the high school on Wednesday, the full-time school resource officer assigned to that school was not at work. Mark Salinger has learned that the Evergreen High School did not have a full-time SRO, not for a little bit, Mark, for nearly an entire year.
Yeah, Jenny, the full-time school resource officer assigned to Evergreen High School went on medical leave 11 months ago. For those 11 months, the school of around 900 students only had a part-time SRO, splitting their time between several schools in Jefferson County. At the time of the shooting on Wednesday, there was no officer stationed at Evergreen High School. Jeffco Public Schools sent us a statement today saying they've increased their investment in the SRO program this year, and the SRO program is a point of pride for the district. Now, when we asked the district why the school hasn't had a full-time SRO for 11 months, the district stopped responding to us and didn't answer any more questions. While deputies say they responded to the school within minutes of the first 911 calls, Sheriff's Office says the shooter had time to reload his revolver multiple times and fired many shots inside and outside of the school. The night before the shooting, the Evergreen High School PTA had a meeting at the school where the lack of an SRO was discussed. Minutes from that meeting posted online show the school principal told parents the district had deprioritized SROs from mountain schools because they were considered safer. The district disputed that claim today, but also did not answer any specific questions about that claim, Jenny.
And have you talked to any parents about how they're feeling about this? I mean, medical leave is understandable, certainly. 11 months and counting maybe is where people are starting to say, at what point do you replace somebody?
And they all say, we were never told that the SRO was going on medical leave and that we didn't have an SRO for so long. So they're demanding answers from the district saying, why didn't we have an SRO here? Why was it part-time, not full-time? And on the day of the shooting, why were they dispatched to a car crash, which is our understanding, instead of being at the school?
Yeah, a lot of interesting questions. Okay, Mark Salinger, thank you. The city of Denver is making major changes to its plan to solve homelessness. After spending more than $200 million to move people off of the streets and into hotel shelters, the mayor says the strategy that used to work is no longer a viable strategy. Mark Salinger, he's covering this story too for us. He sat down with Mayor Mike Johnston to talk about the next phase of this plan.
I think the next 2 years are going to be harder than the last 2 years.
Denver Mayor Mike Johnston is changing course on his goal to solve homelessness. After the city moved more than 7,000 people off the streets and into shelters or homes since he took office 2 years ago, he says the same strategies are no longer working.
That strategy was the right one for the right time, which is when your problem is 1,000 tents in your downtown, you have to have 1,000 units to move people into. Now the challenge is faster case management, people into work faster, people into housing faster.
Today, the city announced it's closing a hotel shelter it leases and is converting a micro-community it built into workforce housing. The changes represent a dramatic shift from moving people indoors to now trying to get people into permanent housing.
I think the first stage of the work was successful, getting the encampments closed. The second stage is success would be all of those folks are now in treatment, in housing, in a job.
We know Johnston's plan to move people indoors has already cost more than $200 million, with the price tag above $50 million a year right now. It costs about $40,000 a year to keep someone in a hotel shelter. As people stayed in the rooms longer, Johnston realized the city had a problem.
And it was hard conversations where we started to look at folks that have been there for 6 months or 9 months or 12 months. And we said, this is not okay, because we, the taxpayers, can't afford to pay for this.
The goal now is to get people in and out of shelters faster, focusing on increasing the amount of people moving off the streets and into permanent housing.
The good news and the bad news is there is one singular risk for the whole city on this, and it is the availability of affordable apartments in the city for people to live.
Denver is short about 40,000 affordable homes right now. It's a challenge the mayor acknowledges.
The single most important thing for us to figure out how to solve is to make sure we can bring on enough units, and I will tell you that's one we don't have the answer to yet.
It's a new set of challenges for a city still trying to solve a problem that no other city has ever figured out. For Next, I'm Mark Salinger.
The new contracts for organizations working with the city on homelessness will be paid out based on performance. For example, how many people they get into housing. That's also a change from how the city has handled contractors in the past. Former Democratic Congresswoman Yadira Caraveo is dropping her bid to try and reclaim her seat in Colorado's 8th Congressional District. Her campaign has really struggled to gain support since she was unseated by Republican Gabe Evans last year. Well, ahead of running to try to get her seat in Congress back, Caraveo revealed while she was in Congress last year, she checked herself into Walter Reed Medical Center to be treated for depression. The Colorado Sun reported earlier this year on safety concerns from unnamed former staffers regarding Caraveo's mental health struggles. Then when she announced her candidacy earlier this year, she told Kyle Clark about why she wanted to go back to Congress.
I want to go back to make sure, just like with the fact that I'm speaking about it so publicly, that people out there know that there's help, that they should get help, and that they can get better.
So this week, nonpartisan pollster Magellan Strategies released a survey showing Colorado voters are down on Democrats. In that 8th congressional district, Republican Gabe Evans has a slight edge over a Democratic candidate.
I think that's what Democrats across the country are struggling with. What brand of the party, what general ideological makeup of the candidate works in this environment?
There are 6 other Dems still running in the 8th Congressional District, including State Representatives Manny Rutnell and Shannon Byrd, Denver Teachers Union Director Amy Baca-Olert, and State Treasurer Dave Young. The students at Evergreen High School have a very long road ahead of them as they heal from the tragedy on their campus this week. It's also going to be a long road for their families, really for the entire community. We can help them access the comfort and the counseling they need whenever they're ready. Here's Kyle with an update on this week's Word of Thanks.
As soon as it was clear what had happened at Evergreen High School, I heard from a number of you asking what we could do together to help, specifically where you might donate to support the Evergreen community. And at this point, it's honestly not clear what the community's needs are going to be. But there is a way for us to support Evergreen in the short term and also support youth mental health in Jefferson County with any additional dollars we raise. That's why this week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign supports the Jefferson Center for Mental Health. Their clinicians and staff were in Evergreen the next day, spread out across the community for anybody who needed to talk. And they will be there in the coming days as Evergreen sorts out what that community wants and needs in terms of support and care in the short term, medium term, and long term. And the Jefferson Center will use our donations to support their work both in Evergreen as well as more broadly supporting the mental health of children across Jefferson County. They offer a number of types of therapy to help kids tackle anxiety and depression. They work directly in schools on counseling and crisis response. And specifically, their trauma systems therapy team helps young people heal after tragedies like the one in Evergreen. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491 to get that link to donate. You have proven through 5 years of microgiving, $5 at a time has added up to $16 million in impact across our state. And you know I'll never ask you to give alone, so as always, I'll match the first 50 donations of $5 to get us rolling. Nearly 6,000 of you have signed up to make a monthly donation to the Word of Thanks Fund. You put in your info once. Each month, your donations automatically split among all the nonprofits we feature, so you touch everyone that Word of Thanks touches. It's meant that recent campaigns have started with $35,000 in donations.
12 years ago, floods devastated communities across Colorado. Now one town is being recognized for its recovery. And it's never too late to honor a job well done. Just ask this World War II vet, getting recognized today in Arvada. And all week, we have been sharing the art of our friend and colleague, Corky Scholl. Now he is being remembered through somebody else's art. This week marks 12 years since deadly floods devastated Colorado, from the smallest mountain towns all the way out to the eastern plains. These floods reshaped some communities, and recovery lasted for years. That flooding started with just a few days of steady rain, but then it grew into something much worse. On September 11th that year, storms unleashed heavy rain that fell for hours. 6 to 18 inches fell along parts of the Front Range, as much as Boulder would see in a whole year. By the time the storms cleared out, flooding covered 4,500 square miles, leaving behind $4 billion in damage. 9 people died, 19,000 had to evacuate. That recovery was slow going in some communities like Longmont, where the St. Vrain Creek ran over its banks and caused catastrophic flooding. Longmont spent years reconstructing the greenway and building more infrastructure, trying to reduce future flood risk. This year, that work earned the city international recognition. The United Nations named Longmont its very first U.S. Resilience Hub, a designation given to cities that are considered leaders in preparing for disasters, which is really cool, Chris Bianchi, because certainly they had to live through something terrible, but nice to see what they're doing looking to the future.
Out of that tragedy comes that light, as you mentioned there, Jenny, and of course the flood that many of us will remember so well. I was here in Colorado for this one, and in the foothills, picked up 18 to 20 inches of rain. And again, as Jenny was just saying a second ago, as much as these areas receive on average in a full year, Boulder, rainiest day on record on September the 12th, exactly 12 years ago. We picked up over 9 inches of rain in a single day. East Metro, 8 to 10 inches plus for us as well. Seeing some showers, nothing close to what we saw 12 years ago, but even seeing some snow above 12,000 feet. Meantime, in the foothills, seeing some showers and a little bit of action off to our south and west. We'll see how much of that holds together as it gets closer. Some showers around over the next few hours. Heaviest, steadiest rain, southern Colorado for tonight and tomorrow. Better chance for showers and storms, and a bit of a severe weather threat for tomorrow as well. Wind and hail are primary concerns. But then if you're looking for some drier weather, we'll get it. Just got to wait a few days. We'll get drier for Sunday and especially for Monday, with highs back in the 80s next week.
All right, thanks, Chris. For years on Next, we have recommended journalism and other work that isn't ours personally, but is definitely worth your time. In that spirit, we're now airing a multi-part project in defense of journalism. It's called A Matter of Fact. And for the next 10 weeks, we'll be airing a series of shorts put together by Coloradans who are determined to prove to Americans that journalism isn't partisan, it's patriotic.
That tastes so good. Alternative facts are kind of like junk food. They might make you feel good, but they don't really help. And even worse, they can be a dangerous threat and destructive to the common values that hold our country together. As a matter of fact, the truth benefits all of us in the end, even if it doesn't taste as good. In America, we have to be able to agree to disagree and respect each other's points of view. That's basic civility. We're taught it from kindergarten on up. Today, there are plenty of distractions offering us an easy out with alternate facts. Don't fall for it. You can handle the truth. We all see or read or hear things that we don't agree with, but that doesn't mean it's not true. And turning away is no solution. Here's a fix. Put the truth to the test. Read the same story from many trusted sources. Be open to other points of view and get some context. It's totally doable. The truth isn't always as colorful, but it will always help. And that's a matter of fact.
We'll share more short episodes of A Matter of Fact every Thursday through early November, when we will air a documentary showing Colorado's journalists at work. You can learn more about this project on 9news.com/freepress. When we come back, a long overdue recognition for a World War II vet in Arvada. And a fitting tribute to our Corky Scholl, a friend to our newsroom and to countless artists all across Denver. That's next. This week, we have been sharing some of our favorite stories from our colleague Corky Scholl, an incredibly talented, but more importantly, a kind photojournalist. Corky passed away unexpectedly on August 30th, and he was so much more than a photojournalist. He poured his heart and his soul into a project saving historic signs all around the state through his Save the Signs project. He was a friend and a peer to countless other artists, and today we'll hear from one of them. a Denver artist who shared both of those passions with Corky and wanted to share what his work meant to that community.
Teaching myself just different things about whatever I could get my hands on material-wise. Scrappy, shut up. A recycled stop sign. My name is Dan Erickson. I am known as Dunn, the Scientologist.
Yeah. Dan Erickson says
I was in 2008. He did a story on me. Found a no parking sign out underneath the carport that was aged to perfection. Corky was just always like the backbone, like the go-to if I ever just needed support, or any of my circle of friends ever needed support. He was interested in what I was doing, and I was just very interested in how he conveyed stories and his artistic creativity and how he used his camera to champion other people's voices. I'm working on a memorial piece for my friend Corky. What was the news? That Corky had passed away. I was just in shock, and I went to my one coping mechanism that I always go back to, which is the signs. He loved signs. We had that similar passion. Yeah, his Save the Signs project. I mean, I have a sticker of it over here in the studio, saving signs up and down Colfax, all over the state, eventually all over the country. Paid tribute to someone that I cared about and respected very deeply. But yeah, I definitely cried a few times making this piece. Just his point of view. I mean, he always could find the best in everything. Just a hole in the community. Just humble, calm. That's why I loved working with him. Yeah, it looks like him. This was how I started grieving the news the best way I could, by just working through my creative outlet.
Years ago, Technical Sergeant Erwin Powell's military service took him to France, where he completed 18 aerial missions. France did not forget, and today, Powell received the country's highest honor.
Today is a very special news. We're recognizing a remarkable gentleman from the greatest generation.
He is kind and gentle and never has a bad word to say about anybody.
When we play the anthems, you can stand up, okay? For both of them? Yeah, both of them.
My dad has waited a long time for this honor to award him for his service in World War II.
You took part in 55 bombing missions in the European theater, including 18 over France, and participated in the Northern France and Rhineland campaigns before being discharged in July 1945.
Well, my good news is making it to 101.
My good news is that my dad is getting the French Legion of Honor medal today.
Au nom du président de la République, nous vous remettrons les insignes de chevalier de la Légion d'honneur.
This event today is certainly a high point in my life. I think it's quite an honor.
There are very few of these veterans left. We need to do our best to remember them.
Thank all of you for coming out today. All of you, please stick around. We will have refreshments.
A personal thank you from me to all of you who have sent in your condolences about our loss of Corky. We'll be sure to pass that along to his family as well, and we deeply appreciate it. Have a good night.